G'day folks, I'm Mitchell Dale. This is Rugby League Week TV. Joined by Martin Lenihan from Rugby League Week, Eric Groth from the Cronulla Sharks. Thanks for joining us, boys. Now, what about this weekend, Benji Marshall against the West Tigers? For the past decade, it's something that we probably thought was inconceivable, really. we thought he'd play his first game for the Tigers and his last. Things didn't quite pan out that way.
Yeah, it's amazing, I think, for anyone to stay at one club for as long as he did these days, especially back in the day maybe. But yeah, it's such a business now that you don't see a lot of it. But yeah, he had a good innings there, but it's going to be interesting to see how he goes for his first game back against the old club. Yeah,
now how's this for an irony? The game that he plays against the Dragons this weekend will be 11 years to the day that he debuted for the Tigers.
Unbelievable. Yeah, look, I think he and Robbie Farah were the Tigers for 10 years. Robbie's obviously still there. I mean, Benji made a lot of noise that he could never play against the Tigers when he went off to rugby. Things have changed. I think he's proving pretty good value for the Dragons, just starting to find a bit of form. He's been honest enough to say he's not as quick as he was. He won't do some of those crazy things he used to do, those magical things, but he seems to be kicking quite well and working well with Gareth Widdop, who, to me, is just about the buy of the year.
He's definitely slotting in nicely now. I had coffee with him the other day, just through a mutual friend, or Chris Hyington actually. A few name drops there. And he was saying that it took him a while, but he's starting to really feel comfortable in his position now.
You can see that. You can definitely see that.
You can see it.
His first game against Parramatta wasn't great.
What about you? First game back? What do you expect?
He'd been back in the country for about a week, I think.
That's it.
So
just thrown into this cauldron, so to speak. So yeah, no, he said he's starting to feel really comfortable, feeling at home down there, and I think we're just going to see the best of him over the next few weeks. Yeah,
we caught up with a couple of the Tigers this week about playing their old mate Benji, so let's hear what they have to say about that.
Oh look, they got some flair. They got a lot of speed. You know, they don't have the biggest pack, but they're very good on their feet. Trent Merrin's got great feet. You know, you got Brett Morris on the wing, and the Nightingales, I think, been one of their best players in the past 4 or 5 years. So you know, their back three are good. Josh Dugan playing in the centres has found a home for himself there, and of course Benji, our former teammate, who's gone across there and who's finding his feet again, and he can really you know, open a game up and have a hand in tries. So I think attacking wise, it's just trying to contain their explosiveness, their flair, and their ability to put points on. Oh look, it's hard to say. You know, he had a very big impression on this club. He played, you know, 99% of his career has been at this club, and he was, you know, it was pretty easy selection for him to be picked in the 15th anniversary team last week at 5'8". So you know, hopefully they respect that, and you know, I don't think he's going to get booed. I think he'll get the reception that he deserves, and you know, that's just a warm one, hopefully, but hopefully that doesn't give him the encouragement to play too well against us.
Yeah, it's probably almost going to be a bit surreal for everyone involved, for Benji and for all his old Tigers teammates as well.
Yeah, look, it should be a fantastic atmosphere. Both these sides right on the fringe there of pushing into the 8. The Dragons took them to the cleaners a bit way back in round 1. Seems like an eternity ago. High scoring game. I think we can pretty much expect the same. Fair bit of attack from these sides. The Dragons got a bit bogged down on Monday night against Manly, but then Manly can just about do that to anybody. So I think Paul McGregor, he stated his case that he wants the job now long term, that Wayne Bennett's out of the picture. I think he's done quite well with this team. So, you know, both guys, I guess, Mick Potter and Paul McGregor, big day for both of them, and a big 6 weeks coming up.
Yeah, you mentioned round 1, and a lot's changed for the Tigers, particularly with the emergence of some of these younger kids, in particular Mitchell Moses, who we had on the cover of Rugby League Week this week. Just sensational against the Bulldogs. Only his 3rd first grade game. Looked like he'd been there for a lot longer than that. I guess in a sense, those kids like Moses and Brooks were the main reason why the Tigers were happy enough to let Benji go at the end of last year, because they know their future's secure in the halves.
Yeah, that's what happens as a player gets on in one club, and it's, you know, it's starting to feel a bit stale and it's time to move. You have a look to who's coming up in the ranks, and mate, players like that, they are future superstars, mate. He was amazing. I like watching his face when he competes. He's so competitive, and every play matters so much to him, a la Billy Slater.
Yeah, that's right. He was, well, another great fullback he was compared to was Sam Tompkins. Pat Richards, who saw Tompkins coming through at Wigan. He's seen Moses coming through at the Tigers. Likens the two of them. I mean, both quite skinny and wiry, but real competitors in that pace and the evasion skills.
Yeah, look, it's a great group, isn't it, with Sirinen as well, and then you look at some of the outside backs. I mean, this is the interesting thing with Mick Potter. He seems to have done a great job with this group of kids, and they're coming through, and yet he's under enormous pressure. So going to be really interesting to see what plays out with him. But can't wait to see Moses go at it again, and I just think it'll be a fantastic game on Sunday.
What do you reckon, Dragons or Tigers?
I reckon the Dragons by a couple.
Benji, I'm very sorry. He actually shouted the coffee and the steak sandwich I had, but I'm going to have to go with the Tigers, mate. They just look like, to me, they're ready just to rip and tear to get into that finals.
Yeah, I think so. Look, I mean, the Tigers were just so good last week. Interestingly, I think of the past 6 occasions they've scored 40, they've backed up the following week and had a good win as well. So I think that's all leaning for me towards Tigers victory. Pretty close one though.
Hang on a second.
Hey.
That's 3. You're going to, every single game this week you've agreed we're going to pick the same team.
Correct.
Our friendship's flourishing.
Hey, hasn't it? Hasn't it turned around? We've turned around like the Roosters and the Rabbitohs have. It was pretty rocky at the start of the year. Now look at us go.
I love you. I think I love you.
It was a bit weird. Anyway, that's it for us. We've all gone for the Tigers. Well, Leno's gone for the Dragons. Eric and I think the Tigers in a close one on Sunday.